And it's because it's isolated to those buildings far up near the road, and the water is down south, so you're not going to do any compaction there. So if you had to choose a project to go in here, they're all going to require compaction. This seems the least, no pun intended, the least impactful of compaction. You know, having this particular setup with these buildings, you know, from my perspective, and to have the ponds there as a natural buffer on top of the additional buffering requirements of the wall and the landscaping, which is part of the conditions. With that said, I owned a condo back in the 80s, early 90s. I ultimately sold it. But FDOT did a project, and they put a huge pipe in to get to property behind the condos for water retention when they expanded 776. And they didn't do the shoring. It caused massive cracks in the condo. It was only 12 units. You can put your hand in the crack to the units outside.
Might be a problem.
Yeah. Well, there was no pre-condition inspection inside the units or anything else. Big mistake. So I like the fact that you're going to do it. And I would encourage everyone, if this passes, you make sure you're on the list to get that pre-inspection for your conditions before the project starts. So what happened is we went after the insurance with FDOT's contractor and FDOT, which, you know, they're immune, so, you know, you're stuck with the contractor. But it becomes a civil matter. So now with 12 unit owners and special assessments, we had to pony up the money. It was 2 or 3 years of legal battles to finally where our attorney says, we have to keep spending money. We just threw our hands up and said we can't spend anymore. And we never got any satisfaction. We had to pay to get grout injection under the slab to stabilize the building and stop what happened. You get stuck in a legal web, and I don't want that to happen to these people. That's why I was listening very carefully to the insurance, and I was going to ask the gentleman about his loss runs, the contractor, but what he said is, I think what I heard is he had one claim.
Yeah, one he said.
And they won.
Yeah, and they won. Because that's important to know, you know, how many claims against a compacting company that does this type of work. Yeah. So that was real important to me, that there's not a history of claims. So I would just say, in the grand scheme of things, with this type of use, it's going to be limited to those specific areas, and, you know, to have 7 million and 1 million. I think the key here is the pre-inspection. I was going to go as far as saying perhaps the insurance company can issue a certificate naming these particular owners as additional insured. Because I'm just saying that they do that, you know, they could do that. And this way they have a more expedited pathway to recovery should something happen. And it's just a matter of issuing a certificate. And you can ask your insurance company, whether it's the condo association, naming them, or specific building. Yeah, that might be another pathway to give assurances that should insurance come into play, they have their certificate named as additional insured. I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Constance.
Thank you, sir. So, just to kind of sum up the people affected, nothing to the east. To the north is Old Landfill Road and then the county property. To the west, it's 3100 Loveland. So, you're in contact with the owner of that?
I don't know what address that is.
Well, that's what when I click on it, that's what I'm seeing. Is you're saying that's the one directly? 3300. No, the north of there. To the north, just up.
The house.
Yeah, that right there. Yeah. What? So is that the only house you're saying, the one that's 300 feet within the?
Yeah, I don't believe we've had any contact with them as of yet, because if this doesn't get approved, we're not doing anything.
So I would think it would be appropriate. I see only really 3. There are more people at the table here, but that one, the Lakes Edge Condominium Association. So pick a person who heads that one up. That house that you can't get a hold of the person. Then to the south, I don't know who's that Pebble Terrace. Is that part of a homeowners association, or is that just a residential street?
I don't know.
River Club. All right, so it's River Club. All the other ones that were in here today, they're empty land, so I don't expect structural issues. But I would think those three entities, you should have cell phone numbers of the folks that are the tip of the spear for each of those groups, and lead the charge and get a hold of them and saying, this is going to happen. We want to stay in constant communication with you, and you will disseminate the information, please, to the group behind you. And if they have questions, they come to you to come to us. So you only have three individuals that you've got to deal with if there's any problems. I think that would be the best way to move forward.
Again, I mean, we've had sworn testimony from professionals that the condos and the River Club property are outside of any scope of concern.
Okay.
In addition, you've got the ditch that runs between the properties to the south and to the west, which adds to the comfort level of the expert that's testified. The reality is it's the one house that's 300 feet away that is the concern. And,
right.
And that will be under protocol for what they do. That's what they'll do. If we can get in touch with someone, there's been, you know, through this, I've had more emails from people that are neighbors than I have on any other project,
right.
I think. And it's not always the same, and it's not, you know, so.
Right. And I
even
think
if you
that,
pick the one, someone doesn't agree with that one, you're still hearing from that one. So.
well, but I got to figure there's a homeowner association president for each of these
we
entities.
can certainly take an obligation to notify those associations that work is going to begin.
That's all I'm asking, because I think that actually simplifies your life. You can take the advice or not, but I just think that would be a great way to move forward, because then you're centralizing all of those complaints. If anybody comes to you, say, listen, can you put it through your POA president, because he's the one we're talking to, and we'll arrange it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
And if I can,
yes, sir.
When you start talking about the vibration and the issues, reading that I've done is usually within 450 to 500 feet, and except for when you have conditions where you're hitting limestone. And that shelf out on Minnesota Key does create a travel distance longer than that. And so that's kind of an unusual circumstance. I don't think you're going to find limestone down in that part of the county, but I'm comfortable, but I do like the ideas of making sure everybody's informed.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you. Commissioner Doherty?
Yeah, I just want, well, he's busy with his client right now.
My client's telling me that they did meet with a Mr. Price from the condo association, and we made some changes to the conditions based on that conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify again, though, that you're going to submit with the final PD package a detailed monitoring plan that was basically put into testimony today, that will be in writing, that we can see the pre-construction work and the monitoring that will take place, and the reporting component of that too.
Yes.
And it's your choice as to what you put into that.
Right. Mr. Bain is just saying it'll be part of the narrative, you know, approval.
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
not going to be in the plans themselves.
No, not your plan package. No, I didn't expect to see it there. But a part of the package that is submitted.
Right.
Mr. David, do you have a draft of for this particular hearing, the additional condition for monitoring for dynamic compaction?
This is what I put together on the fly here. Add the following to PD condition B6. Applicant shall submit before construction commences a plan to 1, monitor dynamic compaction, including possible impacts on affected structures, and 2, excuse me, a plan to install and monitor a monitoring well pursuant to composite hearing exhibit number 1 and the testimony of applicant's expert witnesses at the hearing. The county shall not regulate the monitoring contemplated by this condition. And then delete and restate PD condition H as follows: hours of operation for phase 2 parentheses contractors offices 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. during weekdays, 8 a.m. to noon on Saturdays.
That sounds good to me, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Burnson, how do you feel?
That's fine.
Can I ask one question? So, did you say that we're not going to get reports on the monitoring?
My suggested provision is the county shall not regulate the monitoring contemplated by this condition.
Regulate, right.
Okay, not regulate. However, we should receive results.
What he said is that's going to be in what comes to you for final. We'll show you everything we're doing, including that. And then when we're here at the final, if there's something that you all think is missing, just like today, you'll make
Okay, but I just want to make sure that if you're giving information to the homeowners, that you're also giving it to county
Yeah.
staff, same time, so everybody gets
Personally,
it.
I'd rather just give it to the county and have.
Well, I got you. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Doherty?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Charlotte County, Florida, amending the Charlotte County zoning atlas from Residential Estate 1, parentheses RE-1, to Plan Development PD, in order to have a storage yard for Phase 1, in order to only store boats, recreational vehicles, trailers, and other non-commercial vehicles, and building trades contractors' yards in Phase 2. For property generally located south of Old Landfill Road, east of Loveland Boulevard and Willett Drive, and southwest of the county-owned Eastport Water Plant in the Port Charlotte area, containing 33.74 acres more or less, Charlotte County, Florida, Commission District 1, petition number PD-23-00006, applicant 33 acres Old Landfill Road, LLC, providing an effective date. And just a question on the water plant, water reclamation facility. It says water plant in the title. I don't think that's actually a water plant. Is that? Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Eastport Water Reclamation Facility, I think, is the proper term for that piece of property. Can we approve this ordinance, and that's a Scrivener's error that you can correct before it's sent off to the Secretary of State, sir?
Yes, Commissioner.
I think we're good then. My motion holds it with the understanding that that will be changed from Eastport Water Plant to Eastport Water Reclamation Facility in the title.
It's a non-material error.
It's a Scrivener's error.
Right.
I'll second that if you included the provision that he outlined before.
He already did.
That's, you included that, right?
He already did. Yes, sir. All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, is there any opposition? Hearing no opposition, that ordinance is passed. Our next item is PD 2404, Firelight North PD rezoning, quasi-judicial. Commissioner Doherty.
Yes, sir. Again, had my monthly staff briefing with Mr. Bailey, Mr. Cullinan from Community Development, and Mr. David from the County Attorney's Office, and filed my paperwork this morning.
Commissioner Constance.
No disclosures, sir.
Commissioner DeSalle.
Met with staff, filed my paperwork.
Commissioner Deutsch.
Have my meetings filed with paperwork.
Thank you. I have no disclosures. Ms. Shao.
Good afternoon again. For the record, Jay Shao, Community Development Department, and my planning expert qualification is attached to staff report as Exhibit 1. Zimmerland Partners, LLC.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please take it outside. We still have a meeting going on. Thank you. Ms. Shao, the floor is yours.
Zimmerland Partners, LLC is requesting petition PD-24-04, and today's hearing is adoption hearing. The requested rezoning is from Residential Estate 1 RE1 for approximately 34.1 acres and Planned Development PD for approximately 315 acres to PD in order to develop up to 1,000
Afternoon.
units
Thank you guys for being.
of residential development, no change. And also add a land use equivalence matrix.
Do you know,
for
are
mixture
there any
of
homes
residential
that
and
are
commercial
inundated
development
with water?
to
Are we
establish
seeing any
the
damage
maximum
from that
dwelling
flooding yet? I
rights
know
of
there is a
1,000
lot
units
of flooding.
with no commercial
It's too
square
early
footage
to know the full
or
extent
a
of the flooding. There are some
maximum
reports of
100,000 square
water
feet of
intrusion into
commercial
homes,
uses
but as I had
with
stated, we expect the water to rise for
466
some time now into the
applicant
evening, so
also
the anticipation is
request,
there will be more water into additional
It's
homes.
required to
And
transfer density
The Bering
units
Collar
for
Bridge is
residential
closed. How
development
long are we
above the
expecting
base
that to be closed
density
for?
of
And should folks try to go down I-75, what is your advice to them?
I-75 is the desired route, alternate route to the US 41 bridges when they are closed. Right now, we're seeing flooding in the city of Punta Gorda as expected, and that necessitated the closure of the northbound span of the US 41 bridge. So I-75 is the preferred alternate route.
My other question was for the sheriff. We were with a couple of your deputies on Minnesota Key last night talking about how, it looked like there was a lot of people that were not on the island, which was great, but then a little after we spoke with Bill, there was folks doing donuts in the roundabouts. What would you say to those folks that are not taking this seriously in terms of safety?
Well, they need to take it seriously, and they need to stop being stupid. It just takes a little bit of water to cause a big event. And we still have a lot of water inundation that we're expecting to come in. I saw on a camera earlier today, too, that somebody was out at Englewood Beach. It looked like they were surfing. You're just taking your life into your own hands. This is not a joke. You need to take it seriously. It's not an Ian event, but it has hazardous conditions, and somebody can lose their life if they're not careful.
And the question I have is for you, sorry, it just popped in my head, otherwise I would have asked you that for the first time. What do our shelters look like now? Yesterday, it just opened up when we spoke with you. How are we doing? What's the capacity looking like?
The shelters have been open just over 24 hours. We're showing minimal clients currently. I believe as individuals start seeing the waters rise, we'll see additional individuals present at our shelters, but that's also not indicative necessarily of all those who have heeded our warnings and have evacuated. We always urge our residents, if they can, evacuate, go to a friend or family member's home. That's a better option than our shelters.
The board
question for you now. Sorry, pulling everybody over. Any idea how many people actually heeded that advice? And we talked about it quite a bit yesterday in terms of how many people actually got off of our barrier islands.
So despite having a total number of what got off, we have a better number of what's remaining there. So we're looking at about 50 people that are on Don Pedro, Night Island,